Today I'll be going through the implementation of my code for phone Eliminator. So let's start off by the libraries, okay? So as you can see, I have the servo library, and then below that I have the LCD display library. We have seen both libraries in our previous exercises for the assignments. Something new for this project that I have implemented is the countdown library. This was initiated, or this was made by one of the Arduino community members. It basically is a countdown timer which other people on the platform can use. Below, I am initializing the LCD crystal screen to the number of pins 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. After that, I'm initializing the countdown as focus timer and countdown as break timer. Two timers, one is focus and one is break. Here I'm initializing the name of the servo to be gate servo. I'm initializing the starting position to be 20. The reason for that being is that we cannot set it to 0 because it would have some issues, and the manual recommends to have some buffer area. So that's for that reason I'm starting at 20. The buzzer pin is set to number 3. I'm using one of the buzzers, so that's why I'm setting that pin to 3. I'm using the servo motor, so I'm setting that to 6. Red button is set to pin number 4. Green button is set to pin number 2. And red light is set to pin number 7. Focus time and break time, these are the two times. This is for testing purposes, but initially it was 25 and 5. Counter emergency, this basically is basically keeping track for a number of times the emergency button is used. So when it's used, it goes up by 1. So it's initialized at 0. These are the booleans. They're all set to false. On break, start timer, focus timer. F minutes and F seconds is the focus minutes and seconds, and B mins and B seconds is for break timer. So as you can see, this is a setup, and then it basically initializes a screen. Sets the pin mode for red and green to input. Light red is set to output, and buzzer is set to output as well. First, I wanted to make sure that my servo motors are in unlock position. That's why I'm using this helper method, which is unlock box. We can just see it right here. Unlock box, so this is my helper method. It basically sets the position to 20. Servo position 20. Servo position is set to 20, and then gate servo.write servo position. We'll go back to setup. This is basically a welcome message. Welcome message is it's to be shown on the LCD display. We can see what it's being shown. It says welcome to phone Eliminator, and this is basically clearing the screen, setting cursor to 00, and then printing it out. And then going one row below, and it's printing out the phone Eliminator part, and it's setting a delay to 2 seconds. Now we'll go in. Okay, so I'll go focus info message. So basically this is displaying the message for focus timer info, and this is also a helper method. So it basically clears the screen again, sets the cursor, prints out the focus timer, and also sets the cursor again to go one below the current row, and then it prints out 1 minute. This is for testing purposes, but this should be 25. I'll go back to setup. So now the loop. So first, what happens? So the loop it runs and nothing really happens. It's gonna, unless the buttons are pressed. So this is basically when the green button is pressed or the red button is pressed. These are the if conditions. And if those are pressed and once the timer starts, then go in this if condition. This is basically when the start timer is true. Or else start timer is false and focus is over, then turn off the light and start the break. So let's go one by one here. So when green button is pressed, so basically give the user feedback that button is pressed. So that when green button is pressed, I'll first make the sound that the button is pressed. This is a helper function again, the tone and then delay. Then again, so that is that, and then start timer equals true. I'm setting the timer, the boolean, to true. Focus over equals false. Focus is not over anymore. And focus minutes, it is set to focus time. Focus time was initialized in the top section as a int, and that is right here. So basically setting f minutes to 25 minutes, and then starts the timer right here, and then plays the background music, basically letting the user know that unfortunately the timer has started, so you cannot use your phone anymore. The box is locked. So this is a tone that I'm using, or a tone, yes, like multiple tones I'm using right here. Again, back to loop. So now the red button is not, if the red button is pressed, that means that if the emergency button is pressed, then again indicate that button is pressed. So it's going to make a sound, and then go in the condition, if condition. So it's basically checking if the counter emergency is less than 1. So meaning if it's 0, then yes, open the box. If it's not 0, then it shows the message no emergency left message. So if the user can use emergency pause, then it's going to go in this section, and then now it's going to increment the counter emergency by 1. Focus timer stops. Light turns off. This is one of the helper functions. Light turns off, as you can see, digital right, red pin low, turning it off. Emergency music is played, so this is a different music that is being played. As you can see, these are a number of tones, separate tones, different tones, and then emergency music is played, and then unlocks the box. So basically opens the box. Opening the box is set to 20. Locking the box is set to 100. So that's the lock position, and this is the open position. Sorry, this is the lock position, this is the open position, yes. So then, so I have created a while loop inside. It basically waits for the user so that it can start the timer. So if the green button is pressed, then start the timer again. Sorry, basically if the green button is not pressed, then stay in this loop. That's what it's trying to say. So it's going to display the emergency message until the green button is not pressed. So basically if the green button is pressed, then it's going to start the timer. And then this is start timer false. So green button is pressed, so this is set to false, but what happens is the loop is run and then it goes in here. And then so the green button starts to, green button is pressed, so then it's going to start the timer again. So that's what happens. If the green button is not pressed, it's going to be in this loop, and it's not going to go outside that loop, the while loop. This else case is basically, I already mentioned, no emergency message left. It's going to show that message. And then now finally the start timer. Start timer has lock box. So lock box I already mentioned, it's going to be server position 100. Turn on light. Turn on light is also a helper function. I can just show you. Turn on light, digital right, light red pin to high. it's turning on the light. Then focus countdown. Show the focus timer countdown. For every loop, it's going to show the focus countdown timer. So this we can show you. Clear the screen, set the cursor, set the second row, focus time on the first row. Second row is going to be remaining. And then after that, it's going to show, it's going to use this F minutes and F seconds, and I'm using another helper function to show the time. Show time. I'm setting the cursor to a proper position, and if the cursor is set to single digits, then it's going to go in here. Same for this one, it's going to go in here. So if minute is less than 10, and then so minute is less than 10, it's going to have this format. If minute is greater than 10, it's going to have this format. To consider the 2 digits and 1 digit. That's why I have these two if condition or 2 cases. It's going to delay for 1 second. It's going to clear it again, and then the loop is going to run. That's the focus countdown. And then after that, I have the condition here. When focus timer ends. So basically when F minutes and F seconds are equal to 0, set the booleans to false, start timer equals false, focus over equals true. Print the message focus end the message. So this is also a helper function. It's going to print the message focus timer is over for 2 seconds. And then it's going to show the focus end message. Now it's going to wait until the green button is pressed. So until the green button is not pressed, it's going to be in this loop showing the break start message, because I want the user to press the button so that the break can start and the box can finally unlock. The box won't unlock. So after this button is pressed, the green button is pressed again, the box will unlock, and then the user is on its break. So the user can finally use their phone. So as you can see, break start message is basically press the green button to start break. That's what it's trying to print. So that is that. So if that is pressed, then it's going to go out of that loop, while loop, and then it's going to play a good music, indicating that they can finally open the box. Break message, show the break timer info. This basically shows the info of the message. So I'll first show you the good music, the tone. It's a helper function, good tone. And then after that, I have the break message. Break message shows break time for 2 minutes. Again, this was for the purpose of testing. This should be 5 minutes. And it's delayed for 2 seconds. So the break message is delayed for 2 seconds. After that, the timer can start. And then I have break timer.start. As you can see, it starts. This is one of the library helper functions that I'm using from the countdown.h. And fmins is set to focus time. Again, so that because fmins is set to 0 is equal to 0 when the timer ends. So I'm resetting the timer so then it can be initialized to focus time again. This was when the focus timer is on. If it's not on, it's gonna keep the light off, turn off light in the loop, and then it's gonna, so basically start timer equals false and focus timer equals true. Focus over equals true. Keep the light off, keep the servo motor into unlock position, servo unlock box. If break mins equal, so now this is the condition where it checks if the break timer is set to 0 or is it gonna it's gonna end. So when it ends, again, change the boolean, start timer equals true, focus over equals false. Break minutes is set to break time again, and it's going to wait for the user to press the green button. And if it's not pressed, it's going to still only show that focus info message. If it's pressed, then it's going to go out of this loop. But until the green button is not pressed, it's going to be in this loop the whole time, the while loop. And then this again indicates that bad music indicates unfortunately the timer has started once the user presses the green button. Right here, as you can see, it's the break countdown. This is outside the condition. So basically this is shown every time when the countdown is going on. If it doesn't end up in this condition, it's going to, this is basically showing the countdown of the break timer. I will show you again. Break time remaining, and then the same as focus time, but now it's showing same thing but different text. Break time remaining, and then show time. Show time has the same format. Two digits. If it's one digit, then show like according to this, and if it's two digits, showing according to this. And then that's pretty much it. These are all my helper functions right here. And then this is my whole code. Hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching it. You have a good day.